Welcome to the $1 Million Challenge. What is the $1 Million Challenge? This is where you are going to take $1 and you're going to double it 20 times to save $1 million by investing in yourself, mastering 7 business systems, and using AI. And if you're wondering who is this guy, my name is Ed Kang. You just have to look me up as Ed Kang99 all over social media and the internet because I am a 7-time funded founder with 2 exits. That means I've sold 2 of the companies. I'm also a serial entrepreneur that has started, bought, and sold multiple businesses. Dozens of business for investors. I've raised over $100 million for my businesses, other people's businesses, and business funds, startup funds. Right now, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for startups.com, where I work with over 600 active founders building their own companies, and we have over 4,000 startups in our network. I've worked with every entrepreneur of almost every size and background, from the mom and pop shop small business owners to the people working in Fortune 100 companies and the executives there, to the billionaires who are investing in startups all the time, who run family offices, global enterprises. I started this challenge because I noticed that there's a plethora, so much bad advice out there when it comes to how to make money, especially for young, aspiring entrepreneurs. I'm talking about teenagers. And if you're a teenager out there, this is exactly for you. But age doesn't matter here. You could be just starting off, you could be retired, you could be at any point in your life, and this challenge is going to apply to you. Because my vision is to help 1 million entrepreneurs set aside $1 million, which would be the equivalent of $1 trillion of economic impact. And how are we going to do this? Well, I had to create a system, a gamified system, to try and get as many people engaged as possible, use social media like this YouTube channel to reach all the entrepreneurs out there and say, let's do it together. And since this is the first video, what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe. Leave a comment, like the video if you want to, but subscribe and share it with somebody else because we're going to start right here in this video together. And don't worry, if you're thinking to yourself, Ed, you've already done this, or this is one of those get-rich-quick schemes, it is all going to be free. I'm never going to charge for this. On top of which, I'm going to be doing it with you from scratch to show that it is possible and it can be done. And I know many other entrepreneurs that might not call it by the same name, but are doing the exact same thing. I'm going to bring them all here together and we're going to collaborate as a community. So you are in the right spot. You are watching the right video. So once again, you're going to start off with $1 and double it 20 times to make $1 million. You're going to invest in yourself as an entrepreneur, but you're going to master 7 business systems, which I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you an overview right now, and you're going to use AI. Why is AI important? Well, we'll jump into that in just a moment, but it is the future, and we want to make sure that you're using the current tools right now so that you don't get outworked. You don't fall to the competition who are using AI. AI is not going to replace us anytime soon, I believe, but people who use AI and are more productive, 10x more productive than everybody else, those are the people that are going to replace us, and that's the reason you want to get started early because we're just at the beginning of this AI revolution. Now, take a look. This is the framework, the system that you're going to use. There are 20 levels, and you're going to double your money every single time, and you're going to set that aside until you make $1 million. And when you calculate it out, you only have to do this 20 times. You start off at 0 with $1, and check this out. You'll have put away $1,048,576. And right across the top, after you go down the levels, you're going to invest in A, B, C, D, E, F, G systems. And this is where you're going to start off with time. Time is the basic unit because we live in a society where you can trade time for money, and that's usually where you're going to start. You're going to start off with time because when you're at the beginning phase of this, you have ample amounts of time, and you can trade that for money and get this whole system going. Later, you're going to learn how to leverage time, buy back your time. You're going to understand that time will be the most valuable unit later on, and it will increase in value, and that's the reason you're going to master time at the beginning stages so you can be a master later and just make money hand over fist. Literally, the richest people in the world have learned how to manage and leverage time to continually make money. Now, level B is going to be skills because skills act as a multiplier of the value of your time. 1 hour of time from someone who has just come out of high school is different than 1 hour of time of, let's say, a doctor, someone who went and got a doctoral degree or a PhD. That time is infinitely more valuable. But then later on, when you become an expert, you become this world-class expert in something, that's going to be even worth more. Let's say you're one of 1 million doctors. Well, your time is going to be worth so much. But let's say you become one of 10 or one of 1, meaning that you have such skills that nobody else can replicate. Your time will be infinitely more valuable. Therefore, it's the multiplier. So that's level B. Next, you're going to get into ideas. After you have time, the skills, you're going to come up with ideas and become an idea entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs all have ideas, something that maybe other people have not thought of. And if you can be the first with that idea to monetize it, or you have an idea to do something better than everybody else does, you're going to be making more money. I'm going to show you how to take those ideas and monetize them. I used to always tell other entrepreneurs, I monetize vision. And vision starts with an idea. You have a vision for your life, and you're going to go from 0 to 1 because you got the time and the skills to make an idea into something that makes you money. Then after that, ideas need to be put into media because you have to multiply yourself. When you're watching this YouTube video, I don't have to be looking over your shoulder presenting. It doesn't take any of my time. I put in the skills, I have the idea, and you're watching this, and I don't have to be there. In other words, I make money while people sleep with my ideas put into a fixed media format. I'll show you later on. I have another YouTube channel. I wake up every morning. Even if I haven't posted a video, I'll make about $5 a day right now. It's a small YouTube channel, and other people, they just have to just go to bed and wake up and they'll make hundreds of dollars. Some make thousands of dollars every single day. And that's where you want to be. Right now, it's all about media. It's the attention economy. If you know Gary Vaynerchuk, he all started with the attention economy. He talks about attention arbitrage, where cheaper attention is. That's where you want to go. That's what you want to do. And media is how you get there. Then after media, we're going into data. Data becomes infinitely more valuable. If you look at companies like YouTube, Facebook, you look at LinkedIn, they are valuable because of their data, not because of all the media that they put out there. The value of YouTube and the millions and the billions of watch time are the people and the data that they give up to try and watch those videos for free. Well, guess what YouTube does? Turns around and sells that data to advertisers. So the more data that you have and the more insights in the data, the infinitely more valuable your company, your assets, everything you're working on are going to be. They say that data is like the new oil. And yes, everything works on data right now because everything's digital. And if you look at the companies that are on the stock market, you look at those founders that have started those companies, the data is what makes them millionaires and billionaires. And once you move past the data, you're going to invest in assets. These are assets where you take your money and they make money for you, and you don't always have to be changing. Things aren't evolving. Like data follows trends, but assets, for example, if you own land, that land continues to increase in value. Look at McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the most valuable companies in the world, but they knew that the value was not in the restaurants. It wasn't in selling the burgers or the milkshakes. It was in the real estate. And Ray Kroc, one of the co-founders of McDonald's, says all the time, McDonald's is not a restaurant company. It is a real estate company that happens to use those restaurants, burgers and fries and Happy Meals, to pay for all that land. And therefore, the wealthiest individuals are constantly buying assets. People who are the opposite, that aren't wealthy, are constantly buying things. Well, guess what? Wealthy people buy assets. And once you start getting into those assets, you can sort of throttle back on life and go a little bit on easier mode because you don't want to be working for the rest of your life. And after those assets, you are going to make sure that you optimize cash flow, the flow. And that means you're going to be making money whether you're working or not. My most valuable assets are giving me cash flow passively. And don't get me wrong, it is not passive in terms of the work that it took to get there. A lot of people think passive income, passive cash flow, well, it's easy to set up. It's not. And that's the reason it's the last of the levels on this list. But once you can get there, you'll understand what true wealth is. Economic freedom is that your passive income is more than what you are obligated to pay. For example, let's say that you have a lifestyle and you want to live on $10,000 a month. You want to travel, everything like that. Your passive income makes more than $10,000 and covers all those expenses while still maintaining the value of those assets. Now, by no means am I completely there. I'm still working. I still got a whole bunch of good years ahead of me, but I'm grateful and I'm very fortunate to have a lot of assets that are cash flowing me so that if I do experience economic downturn, let's say I lose a contract or a client, or let's say I lose half my subscribers on one of my YouTube channels, it's not going to hit me so bad. I will be able to navigate those downturns, those change in those trends. Let's say you've got an economic implosion like we've experienced just recently. We are going to be okay. And I say we, I mean my family, and I want us, you out there doing it with me, I want us to be okay as well. Now, if you look at this chart, you want to be getting to level 20G. That is the bottom right-hand corner, and that's where you are basically making cash flow of millions of dollars every single time without having to work. Now, very few people get there, but that's okay because the further along you get, the more secure you're going to be. And let me tell you, having $1 million in the bank changes your outlook on life pretty much. But in the beginning, you are going to be, let's say, level 2A or B. You're going to figure out how to make $8, $16 by increasing your time and your skills and putting those ideas out there. But like I said, don't worry, I'm going to be doing this myself and working through every step of the way, and I'll be recording these YouTube videos as well as stories from everybody else out there, and we're going to learn this together. Now, let's take a look at some rules, and I want to explain this, and I want you to really think about them. Let's go through all the rules first. The first rule is AI is allowed and encouraged. Use AI as much as you humanly want to. All those people screeching, crying, complaining about AI's taking our jobs, you're not going to be that person. You're going to say, yeah, guess what? I'm going to compete with AI. It is encouraged all the way, and I'll share a ton of ideas on how to use AI. After that, money must be liquid profit, and proof is going to be required. There's been lots of incentives, and I want you to show me the proof, but I want to see liquid profit. You can't just say, oh, guess what? I put all my money into my education, and now technically to society, I'm worth $1 million. It doesn't work that way. It needs to be liquid. In other words, you must be able to liquidate it on demand, and it must be profit. You have to pay it off debt. Let's say you have investors. You can't just go rack up your credit cards and say, I've done it. Liquid profit, and proof is going to be required. Next, be your own boss. Jobs do not count. You cannot go work at a company. Let's say you go get a job at Starbucks and you have an employer and you make some money and you say, hey, Ed, look, I hit level 2 or I hit level 4. That's not going to work out for you because the whole point of this is for you to become an entrepreneur, for you to become your own boss. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being an employee, but it just doesn't count for this type of challenge. Next, don't spend what you're not ready to lose. You cannot leverage yourself. You can't go into debt if you cannot lose the money that you're going to be putting into this challenge, because there'll be multiple times where you're going to have to make multiple investments. You're going to have to take risks in this and that. Don't do it with money that you can't afford to lose. That's where you're going to get in trouble. And that's where I think a lot of practices out there are very predatory. They make you leverage your credit cards to go get in the course. That's not how this is going to work, because if you look at the way money works, you look at the way that there's interest rates, and you look at how leverage you can get, it affects you on so many levels, emotionally, spiritually, not just financially, physically it can affect you. You will not be effective. You will not complete this challenge. After that, no skipping levels. You cannot skip levels. You must make it at least passively. You may say, you know what, and I'm past this, but if you're starting, I want you to show me that you can make $1 passively, then you can make $2 passively. You can always retry levels as needed, just as long as you fail forward. You are never going to be voted off the island. It's not one of those things where you get knocked back. You can keep trying one level over and over again, and hopefully by that time you got enough cash flow in different areas. Even if you're making money from, let's say, a freelance gig, just to put money into something else to try and double that money, guess what? That's going to be okay. You're going to fail forward because some of the best lessons you're going to learn are in understanding your failure. Rule number 7 is teams are allowed, but you have to keep individual results. If you want to get together with 2 other people, great, but each of you has to reach that $1 million. Each of you can only get to one level at a time, because I need each of you to be able to say that you've achieved and you've learned along the way, because partnerships don't always last, and maybe you want to go get other partners in the future, replicate this, that's fine. In the beginning, if you want to encourage each other, wonderful, but you're responsible for your own money, your own success, and I want to keep it that way. Rule number 8, keep a journal you're going to share with the community. Always keep a journal of what you're doing. I'm going to give you multiple opportunities. You can leave comments here. Eventually, I'm going to start a Discord channel. We're going to have a server. We're just going to share with each other, because that's why I'm doing this, so that we all have this community experience and we get it out there so I can reach that goal of 1 million people achieving this challenge for $1 trillion of economic impact. Stay legal and always pay your taxes. There are no shortcuts for this. You need to learn about how to do things legally, but you also need to learn how to pay taxes. Why? It's not that I believe in taxes or I don't believe in taxes. I'm not going to take a political stance on taxes. You may have a different political view as me in terms of what taxes mean and the benefit of taxes, but taxes are reality. And if you don't pay your taxes and you achieve this, well, guess what? You're going to be in jail, and that money's not going to help you anyway. Finally, minors, if you are under 18, you have to get your parents involved. You have to get permission. If you are going to be working with me and I want to interact with all of you, I need to know your parents are on board, because I'm not here to basically take advantage of anybody's kids. I have teenagers of my own who've been doing this right from their very, very earliest 12 years old. They've been learning how to make money, and they're so much further ahead on this challenge than me. I want to make sure that we keep the family system together, family values. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have parents, I need a guardian involved. I need someone who's legally responsible, and we're going to be working on it together, because I'm not going to go down as one of these YouTube or social media influencers who like breaks up families because I've given you some crazy idea. Now, let me spend just a little bit more time deep diving into these rules. Like I said, AI is allowed and encouraged. The AI revolution is on, and you don't want to be one of these individuals who resist AI. I'm going to show you how to start interacting with generative AI. The more comfortable you are with the tools, and the chances are the younger you are, the more comfortable you already are, it's going to be better for all of us as society, because AI is not going away. It starts as simple as getting on the free version of ChatGPT and saying, this is the challenge that I want to do. How do I go make $4 with what I know and the time that I have? Simple as that. And we're going to give examples of how people have gone to AI. I talk to AI like 4 hours a day. It's made me hyper productive, and it's only accelerated my ability to do this challenge. When it comes to liquid profit, you're going to understand that liquidity is everything. Have you ever heard of a cash poor rich person? People who've got so many assets, but they're tied up and they can't even afford like $10 for lunch. At the worst, what that leads to are people who appear to be rich and who gone out and leased Ferraris, gone out and leased that Lamborghini, and they look like they're rich. Guess what? They're not. And that's the reason liquidity is key. Liquidity is what's going to qualify you to go up in those levels. Now, if you have a day job, I don't want you to quit the day job, because that will provide the stability for you to do this challenge a lot easier. In fact, the number one initiative that you should have is to stabilize your income, especially if you've got obligations. If you have to pay rent, you have to pay off student loans, you are really worried about your income first, and then we'll lay the foundation and build on top of it. It doesn't take much. I'm going to show you how to do it with just $1. It doesn't take much, but you want to be your own boss. That's the first thing you do. If you got some discretionary time and you have to work, go drive an Uber, go get a job waiting on tables, do a freelance thing here and there. Just do some menial tasks for other people. That's how you get started. This includes, if you're a student, stay in school, because that's going to be foundation. I'm going to show you how school is going to help you with the ideas and the attention and the ability to get to that media and build that data set. This is all going to come and build on top of each other, but don't quit school. But you are going to learn how to be your own boss, because that's how you're going to learn the skills to work for yourself, which will give you the discipline and the basics to eventually be that power entrepreneur. And I can't stress enough, do not go into debt. Do not spend what you are not prepared to lose. I don't mind having fun and YOLOing on risky ventures. That's fine. If you want to go get into a meme coin, you want to try your hand at that part of doing business and be your own boss that way, fine. Just do it with money that you are prepared to lose, because you won't dig yourself into a hole, and everything's going to be a two-way door. A one-way door, you can't come back when you go through it. And that's why I don't like it when entrepreneurs come to me and say, I've YOLO'd in my retirement. I've YOLO'd in every piece of value that I have in terms of equity in my home. Well, what if it fails? Business is very risky, and therefore you do not want to risk what you are not prepared to lose. And you're going to learn about risk mitigation strategies, because the wealthiest people in the world have the ability to balance their portfolios. They don't risk more than 5% of their capital in one thing at a time, or 20% of their whole portfolio in a certain type of asset, because guess what? Everything jumps up and down. And there are times where you'll have a downtrend in one area and you don't want to tank the rest of your portfolio. These are principles that you need to learn, and I follow them every single day, and I've been able to navigate some serious downturns in my life. Now, when it comes to skipping levels, I'll show you how to be able to make money passively to achieve the earlier levels. If you understand the value of how to make $1, you'll know how to make $1 million, because it's just $1 a million times, especially put it on automatic. There are days where basically in my account, $1 shows up, and I celebrate that just as much as if $1,000 show up. I remember a long time ago, a wealthy entrepreneur would watch me, and if I passed by a penny on the street, they would say, why didn't you pick that up? If you can't value 1 penny, you're not going to value 1,000,000 pennies or 10 million pennies. There's this ancient proverb that says, if you're faithful with the little, you'll be faithful with the many. And too many founders, too many entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs try and skip and hit the home run. If you look at the successful ones, they are okay with making $1 at a time if they've done it properly with a good system and let those dollars stack up, those really small wins stack up, and eventually you've got leverage. And this is pretty exciting what you can do from there. Like I said, you always want to fail forward. Failure is okay. This is what's going to give you the resilience to step into the risks necessary to be an entrepreneur. Young people, they struggle being entrepreneurs. Why? They're afraid of failing. That's why following these entrepreneurs, these heroes on Instagram who are already at the finish line, is not the best idea. You want to be surrounded by people who are failing forward with you, because if you don't reach that S tier status right away, you have this shame, and shame starts to drag you down. And that's why failure is part of the process. Get used to it. You'll become emotionally resilient if you just accept, I'm going to fail multiple times, but I have multiple redos, retries, rebuy-ins to keep going at it. If you followed all the other rules up to this point in time, guess what? Those lessons are going to be worth more and more. Let me tell you something personally about this. I have lost millions of dollars, and a lot of people go, that would have crushed me. And I thought to myself, well, how do I get around this? All I do is I say, what is the lesson that I need to learn from this that is worth millions of dollars? That's it. It has to be $1 million lesson. If I haven't learned $1 million lesson, I shouldn't even be trying. And so I go deep. It's the same thing. When I lose $10 now, like there are days where I will lose tens, thousands of dollars in the markets because there's been a little bit of a bump. I think to myself, well, guess what? I can make that back tomorrow, but what's the $1,000 lesson? When I lose $10, I go, not a real lesson that I'm going to learn there. It just happens. I'm to that point. But when I lose $1,000, I look at the market conditions. I look at what I've done to put myself in that situation, and I'll learn $1,000 lesson. The same thing happens with $1 million lessons if you lose millions of dollars. And believe me, you'll hear some of the stories later on. I've lost millions of dollars, and I'm still here. And that's the best part. Money, you can always make it back, but time and those lessons and your health, your relationships, you're not going to make that back. So let's make sure your basic system is straightforward. You got that good foundation that we're going to build on top of. I want to talk about teams for just a moment. It's really easy to go out and do this with a partner. And yes, you want to do things with people who are going to encourage you and give you that sense of camaraderie and the support as you move along in this challenge. But be very careful when taking on partners and you rely on them to execute. As a startup advisor, one of the biggest ways that startups die when they're successful, the idea is successful, the company is successful, are founder breakups. And I've had some painful founder breakups, some divorces with other founders, and it's left me completely high and dry and so beaten down that I haven't had the emotional energy or the courage to get back up and do something else with lots and lots of therapy. You want partners, yes, to do this with you, but not for you. And you don't want partners that you're going to rely on and they're a point of failure that you don't have any control over. We're going to learn more about these lessons later on. I'm going to share with you a book. I'm going to share with you the different horror stories that are going to help you navigate these situations. Now, when it comes to journaling, it's not just the ability to share with the community, but journaling is also going to be good for you in terms of reflection. That exercise of reflection is so valuable because you can learn something, but it's not going to be valuable to you until you reflect upon it. And that's where I think a lot of you young folks out there, you don't understand the importance of reflection. Sitting there, talking about it, writing it down, not to mention writing in a journal does so many good things for your brain. And later on, you're going to want those memories. And that's something you can pass on, but also you can learn from. You can revisit them. So it's so important to get into a rhythm of journaling, even though it's not like keeping a diary. It's journaling so that you can track your success. All the best and most successful people journal the different things they've done as part of their learning process, and you're going to learn how to do that as well. When it comes to the constants in life, death and taxes, well, death is all about time, taking care of yourself. We'll handle those things. But taxes, like I said, you have to make sure that you understand how taxes work. Because if we're going to make the economic impact, we need to make sure that we're not all in jail and that we actually contribute to society. And believe me, that's going to make you a citizen, and it's going to make you a leader, a contributor, and more opportunities are going to come your way without you looking over your shoulder all the time. So don't worry about the taxes. Every country has got its share of the tax opportunities that you can learn how to manage to make sure that you pay taxes properly, but at the same time, you're not paying taxes like a foolish person, and you're not letting the system or whatever country you're in take more from you than you are obligated to give. So I'm not saying all taxes are good, nor am I saying taxes are bad. I'm saying they are a part of life. They're not a burden. They are a given. So make sure that you understand taxes because it's going to help you in the long run. And finally, for you teens out there, I know you're sitting there getting super excited. We're going to do this together. I'm going to be like your big brother or your uncle, and I'm going to show you how to do this, but you have to get your parents involved or an adult or someone who is responsible for you involved. And I want them to see this. I want them to be in agreement with what you're doing, because guess what? You're going to need their help later on. Just as you're going to need help from all these other people. And if you can't navigate that, you can't even go to a parent and say, hey, I'm watching this YouTube series and this is what I want to do. then you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to be able to make those contacts, network your way to successful individuals if you can't start in your own household. And like I said, I completely understand. Some of you out there might be in situations where you don't have parents around, or maybe your parents have not taken their responsibility very seriously. I get it. But someone out there will, someone who's willing to mentor you. Some of the most famous people that I know that are so successful are successful because someone older came along and gave them a chance and mentored them, showed them some wisdom, how to take a few steps and avoid some mistakes. I'm going to be one of those for you, but a parasocial relationship, this relationship that we got between you, me, and YouTube, this video will only go so far. You have to get older people in your life, physically in your life involved, and that is going to be a non-starter. If you don't do that, we're not going to be hanging out. We're not going to be working together. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button. Thanks for hanging out in this video. I'll see you in the next one.